Hello and welcome to Talking Games. Just finished Wycombe Wanderers 2, West Ham United U21s 1. The Hammers are out of the EFL Trophy. Now, the context is important here. They've done really good. It's a good achievement to get to this stage, first of all. To get out the group stage is not unheard of for Premier League clubs, but more often than not, they get eliminated. And this is the furthest the West Ham youth side have gone in this trophy so far. So just to get to this stage, the boys done good. But I think it was maybe just one step too far for them this evening, because I think Wycombe were the better side of the two teams in the first handful of minutes. You know, they scored after 5 minutes, Wycombe. They deserved to be 1-0 up after 5 minutes. And it was literally men against boys, but didn't feel like that. I think sometimes you use that as a saying to sort of describe how the game went and the fact that it was all one-sided, but it wasn't the case out there. Our lot made Wycombe work really hard for that, and they were unlucky not to score. In fact, this game was separated by two scrappy bits of goal line moments, but unfortunately, one went against us. Well, they both went against us. One went in favour of Wycombe right at the end there. We almost got an equaliser. But they made it 1-0. It's officially a loose offer goal, but I think it's one of those unlucky to describe it as an own goal. Do you know when someone takes a shot and it rebounds off the post and hits the keeper and goes in? It's technically an own goal by the keeper, but it's a bit harsh to describe it as that. There's nothing you could do about it. Kone came in from Wycombe, a little bit of a scramble in the West Ham 6-yarder. Just went over the line, coming off Orford last. So 1-0. But prior to that, they had 3 efforts. And within the first minute, there was a really good ball in. And I think it was Kone that headed over from Wycombe. It was a free header at the back post, about 6 yards out. He should have been hitting the target. About a minute afterwards, they had a bit of a break inside the 18-yarder, shot high and wide. So when they did go 1-0 up, even though it was only 5 minutes in, they did deserve it. They were all over us. And I think it possibly, we just didn't know how to deal with it. And I think sometimes you will see moments of inexperience with this under-21s team, because a lot of them are or were playing for the under-18s last season. So it's still a young team, even at under-21s level. And I think they coped brilliantly throughout the 90 minutes. But I think the first 5, I think they really struggled with it. And previously, when we played like some Bristol Rovers, they perhaps rotated heavily. I believe it was a strong team from Wycombe, reading some of the Wycombe fans' comments. It was a strong side from them. Obviously, missing Freddie Potts, he's ineligible to play against us tonight. They made it 2-0. Kone got the goal 32 minutes in. They made it 2-0. Self-inflicted, this one, though. It was a mistake from Forbes. Don't want to criticise them too much, because it's a team of youngsters. You don't really want to focus on the negatives from the players, because they are learning their trade. And like I said, this is a step up of opponent from them compared to playing players of their similar age and a similar physical status and a similar level of experience week in, week out in the league and domestic campaign. When you go to play this one, you're coming up against more seasoned players and older players as well. And I think it showed at times. But he made a mistake. Forbes made a mistake. Just a bit too laid back, possibly. Tried to just pass it out to KC. Nothing wrong with the intent. It was just execution was really poor. He might have been trying to play it to Chester's. They were both over there. Kone cut it out, ran through. He does well to get back in. He sort of makes Kone sort of check himself, and it's a little bit untidy, but it's a neat finish by the Wycombe striker. We found ourselves 2-0 down. And at that point, when we were watching it, you did feel that it felt game over. Being honest, I felt it was game over, because I thought it was all one-way traffic. However, just before they scored the second one, we started to get our foot on the ball, and we started to just calm down a little bit. I think the players just started to get a little bit more comfortable. They were knocking the ball about well. And I think we finished the first half relatively strong. I thought we had a couple of half chances, and we were snatching at these opportunities. Lewis Orford had a shot that went wide. Kodua had a shot that went wide, and maybe there were better options on. Scarles as well had an effort when it would have been better to cross it, but he took the shot on. And it's nice to see the confidence and the bravery of the young players, even though there's better options on there. Moments of our play wasn't the best. Our corners weren't the best in the first half, but we were doing all right. Despite being 2-0, we were okay. In the second half, I think Wycombe started really fast. I think they were trying to get that third goal and just put this tie to bed early on. And we weathered the storm once more. And then getting called into action a couple of times and the ball going high and wide on a few occasions. I think we tweaked it a little bit. I felt Scarles was getting forward a little bit more in the second half, and Luis Diao was pushing out as more of a conventional left back in order to allow Scarles to get forward, because we had to do something. We, 2-0 down, you're going out, you might as well go out on your sword and all that. But again, there was moments of play that we were playing some decent stuff out there without causing too much bother to the Wycombe defence. But as the second half wore on and we started to gamble a little bit more, Marshall had an effort. It's easy enough to say, but it's good play. And then Kodua made it 2-1. A decent strike. The keeper should be doing better. He should be saving that. I think the Wycombe goalkeeper would be disappointed to let that one in. And gets a hand to it, but all he can do is just loft it up into the far corner. 2-1, game on. It started to get a little bit feisty, but this is, in a weird way, this is a compliment that Wycombe were rattled. You could see that Wycombe wanted to win. They were time wasting. They weren't doing anything untoward. It wasn't Bristol City tactics on Mavropanos. It was anything like that. But you could see that they were just trying to see this game out and make sure that they were going through. And we had a little bit about us as well. Earthy, for one, wasn't taking any rubbish off their players, and it was. But we had a bit of fight about us. We rang the changes, made some changes. One was forced. Forbes went off injured. Lang came on. Robinson came on for Chester's. We made a couple of switches, but all in all, I think it was relatively comfortable for Wycombe, truth being told. But we nearly snatched it. I say snatched it. We nearly grabbed an equaliser right at the death there. It was, I say, a goal line scramble, 2 or 3 efforts that was blocked on the line from Wycombe players and goalkeeper. We were unfortunate not to grab that. We've gone out, and like I said, I think Wycombe were the better team over the course of 19 minutes, but still a fantastic achievement for the boys to get there and then go and play very competitively against this Wycombe team. They've done themselves proud tonight, actually, and I was watching it thinking we were maybe lacking composure at times, maybe lacking a little bit of quality. But what we weren't lacking was bravery. The players were puffing their chest out, trying to take players on. Earthy was happy to try and dribble around players. Marshall was happy to try and take players on. Scars going down the left. And it was pleasing to see Orford and Kelly were comfortable in the middle of the pitch, just the two of them in there, at times outnumbered, but I think they held their own there. Again, they were comfortable on the ball, moving it about. And we played some nice football out there tonight. I enjoyed that. From an entertainment point of view, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, I have to confess, there was one part of me looking at it thinking, can any of them step up to the first team? Obviously, we've got the injury crisis at the minute with Paqueta, Bowen, Antonio, possibly Mavropanos as well. Question marks over if Saeed Benram is even going to be here next week. So you're looking at it thinking there's maybe an opportunity for 2, 3, 4 of these players to get into the senior squad. There'll be a few of those players that played tonight will be on the bench minimum at Ashton Gate. There were, in the last couple of games, we've seen Orford on the bench. We've seen Lang on the bench. Obviously, Mubama didn't participate tonight, but he'll be involved in the squad as well. So a few of the youngsters that were there this evening will be in the squad against Bristol City. So I was watching thinking if any of them got it, And truth be told, I wasn't blown away by anyone. I didn't think they'd go him, and him. But it's a difficult game to judge them on because they're surrounded by their teammates who are also at the same level of them. So it's hard to pick out the ones that perhaps might be able to step up to the first team. But they didn't disgrace themselves tonight, actually. They had a bit about them. And like I said, I enjoyed it. Even though we got beat, I enjoyed it. It is easier to enjoy, I think, the under-21s football because even though it's knockout football, the repercussions are obviously much, much less. There isn't that pressure on you. As a fan watching this, you aren't emotionally as attached as you are when you watch your first team. I'll be much more emotionally attached to West Ham playing Bristol City in the FA Cup than I was watching us play Wycombe. Tonight, I'm able to enjoy it more as a spectator rather than a fan. I don't know how to describe it. It's a difficult one to... Hopefully people get what I mean. But you're obviously watching it as a West Ham fan, wanting West Ham to win. But I don't curse like I do when we concede a goal. When Forbes made a mistake, I wasn't shouting at him, for example. Whereas if that was a runner, I might have something to say. But it wasn't. I'm able to watch it. I always want to put your arm around and say, don't worry about it. Get your head up, go again, kind of thing. And it's there. There's not as much pressure watching them. So I enjoyed it from that aspect. I was a bit disappointed in Marshall tonight. I was hoping to see a little bit more. But saying that, he got nothing. He got no service. And like I said, at times you could tell it was literally men against boys. And I think Marshall was one of the players that suffered as a result of it. But this is what's going to happen. when he steps up into the senior squad. We're seeing him with Mubama, who's perhaps struggling a little bit with the physicality compared to when he plays in his own age group. He's maybe physically one of the bigger players, but actually as he steps up, not only is he now up against players stronger than him, it's players that know how to use their body better than perhaps they do at that level. So I think it was a really good lesson from them tonight. When we met up with Tony Gale just before Christmas to get his book signed, and we're speaking to him about, you know, being a youngster and the differences of training and who you play alongside. And he was speaking about how, now, I'm not, just to be clear, I am not comparing this to what Tony Gale said at all. My point is, they will benefit from tonight more than possibly any other game this season. What Tony Gale said was, when he would play reserve team football, he would learn a lot more than he did from training. He said you could do 10 training sessions, learn so much. One reserve game, you would learn a lot more. And then when he played with Bobby Moore, he said when he played with Bobby Moore at Fulham, he learned more in that one reserve game than any training session ever. He said just that one, just watching him, talking to him, learning from him. He said that was his education right there. And the boys will have a little bit of that tonight. They will have learned more about themselves and each other tonight more than possibly any other game this season in the league. And it was a pleasure to watch them. And I'm a bit gutted they've gone out, actually. I had hopes that we could maybe win tonight and turn into a bit of an occasion like last season was for a lot. Like I said, a lot of them were in the under-18s when we won the Youth Cup, when we won the league. And I was hoping they could maybe go on, because to win the EFL Trophy would have been an incredible achievement if they could get to the final. But nevertheless, Wycombe deserve winners, but the season's not over for the youngsters, and especially a handful of them. This tonight might not be the most important game for them this month. That might come next week when we play Bristol City. Some of them will get called up. I hope Moyes was watching. Is there anything to take from there that might make Moyes consider? I thought Luziao looked most composed at the back three, but Casey's been involved in the senior squad, as has Lane. Forbes hasn't been, which is, you know, given he's the captain, perhaps an interesting choice from Moyes. Lane came on towards the end of the game there. Orford's someone I've got high hopes for. Patrick Kelly's just signed a new contract as well. Ollie Scarles has obviously been involved previously under David Moyes. Chester's not so much. Gonzo's a big fan of Chester's. I thought he was really quiet tonight. Not much happened down that side of the pitch. It was perhaps difficult for him to get involved in the game, but I didn't really see anything, good or bad. I didn't really see anything to discuss. And like I said, decent strike from Kodua for the goal. Anyway, I'll be doing for our patrons. I'll be live in the morning at some point, maybe 9:30, 10. I'm not 100% sure. Keep your eyes out. I'll be live with Gonzo doing a player ratings for the under-21s this evening. So if you're a patron, fancy that, keep your eyes out for that post. If I'm going to disappear now, though, if you've enjoyed this little review of the under-21s, like I said, they got beat, but good achievement for them this season, and it bodes well for the future for the academy. Like I said, some of them will be in that Bristol City squad. I was hoping to see a bit more from one or two of them. I was hoping to see a bit more, but I don't want to be too negative because, for reasons already stated, men against boys, literally out there. Subscribe to Hammer's chat, and if you're a patron, I'll catch up. Well, regardless of your patron, if you're a patron, I'll catch up with you on the Player Rating Show. If not, I will catch up with you tomorrow anywhere, where we will be discussing Mubama and why I think Mubama probably won't title the video like this because I think it'll annoy a few people. But I think Mubama now has to repay David Moyes. I'll catch up with you tomorrow.